Hey everyone, Lotus Prince here. It is time for a Q&A session in celebration of my having uploaded videos to the internet for 11 years. It's been a long time, but I have enjoyed it the whole time. And with this, I'm going to take a look at questions that were submitted to me some days ago, and we'll see just what we can cover here. So, our first question is from Manny Stovall. What are your thoughts on the Grand Theft Auto series in a whole? Uh, I was never really interested in playing those games, but I kind of like watching supercuts of the story just to see where it goes. But the sandbox kind of stuff never really appealed to me, which kind of answers your next question. Would you do a playthrough of these, like, 7 Grand Theft Auto games? No, I would not. Nick Cooper asks, was there a video game that you regret playing in terms of story and characters? No, but Miku's character assassination toward the end of Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater was pretty bad, and Clock Tower 2, the American version, the Ghost Head game, that game was just a mess. I don't regret playing it, like I wish I'd never played this, but ooh man, that did not end well. Gamer Gabe asks, what's your favorite Yakuza game? That's tough. I have a soft spot for 2, but I also like 5, and then 0's a really good starting point, and Judgment, not quite a Yakuza game, but one of my favorite in the series, and exists entirely in a vacuum. I don't know if I could lock it down to one game. I do like 7, like a dragon, but it's not of my favorites, but those others, it's tough. Will you ever do a Let's Play or a walkthrough of a Yakuza game? No. If you've seen the cutscenes in the beginning of those games, it's like borderline Metal Gear Solid length of just cutscene after cutscene. Plus, doing those games anyway just takes a super long time, because I like to do the side quests and things like that. And as I've already beaten them, I really don't want to redundantly play them again. They're very long. But they're amazing. I have done clips on my channel of things that I find particularly entertaining. Look at this fighter, or something like that, but I'm not doing a whole game. No way. And as a newcomer myself that started playing 0 this January, I'd love to see your thoughts, but judging from your multiple one-off videos, there we go, you seem like a pretty big fan. Yes, I am. I don't want to go into spoilers or anything. I like this one more because of this, but yeah, I very much like the series. I even like Dead Souls. Jimothy Goose. If I pay you 500, would you play Soma? 500 what? I don't know, but odds are yes. I actually have a perk on my Patreon channel which is selecting a game for me to Let's Play in the future. It can take me a while to get to it because every other game that I play on my channel is a Patreon request, so it's back and forth, but I do get to them. Death Calls Call. Do you have an RPG, regular or JRPG, from the old times that you believe has been key to the evolution of the genre? Has been key? I don't know. The closest I can think of is either some Final Fantasy games have evolved over time and influenced the genre in that regard, like FF6, known on American Super Nintendos as FF3. It had turn-based combat, but with bars that fill, so they were a little more interactive than wait an hour when it's your turn. That may be something. Also, Super Mario RPG, I don't know if it introduced it, but it was my first experience with it, for turn-based combat again, but timed attacks, so you could do a second hit or something, or a more powerful hit if you press the attack button right as your hit lands. And same goes for defense. You can get a perfect defense or a near-perfect defense. Yakuza Like a Dragon has that, and that game came out in 2020. Elemental Hero Joe. What do you do to relieve stress? I don't know if I have a really set way of relieving stress. Maybe just sit there and seethe for a while, or if I have access to a console at the time, maybe I'll play one of the Warriors games and set it to easy and just press square to knock things over. Can you solve a Rubik's Cube? Probably not. I know there's a way to do it, there's a strategy you can learn, but I never got into those. What were your strongest and weakest subjects in school? Strongest, math and English. Weakest, history. And it's not because it's just history and history sucks. The way it's taught in schools is usually done in a way that has to be sort of brief because there's so much history. Here's your one chapter in the textbook on all of Africa. Like, oh, okay, I guess I've learned 3 things about Africa. All of it. Bye. Next subject. It's stuff like that. It's just like you can't do a fully comprehensive history thing in K through 12 school. There's no way. You can only cover some very basic points. Groovy George, what what game series would you love to see a sequel to? I don't know if I'm really clamoring for a sequel for any series. A Skies of Arcadia 2 would be pretty cool, but there's a lot of stuff that either has been getting sequels anyway, or I don't know if it needs it. Even Skies of Arcadia doesn't need it. It would just be interesting to see. Ovi Haliuk, I apologize if I mispronounced that. When you're aware of your awareness, you're aware of the awareness being aware of itself. Are you aware of that? Guess I am now. Neon Wave. I remember you had a crossover with Linkara some years back about a comic based on a Suda51 game. Yeah, the Killer 7 comic books. That's available on my channel. It was a good time to film. And I think you read the novel that Parasite Eve was a sequel to. Yes, there is a novel called Parasite Eve, and the video game called Parasite Eve is a sequel to the novel. You don't need to read the novel to understand it. It's a very similar plot, overall speaking. There's even one part where a Japanese guy, because the game takes place in New York City, but a guy from Japan remarks that something like this happened in Japan some years back. I doubt you've watched or read all of the movie, anime, novel, manga, comic book adaptations of the games you've played on the channel, but I wonder which ones you have and which you enjoyed the most. And are there any you plan on seeing in the near future? I don't really go out of my way to watch new anime usually. I tend to get my stuff filtered through me from a friend who's much more into anime, and he's like, oh, I think you'd like this one. That's what got me into Attack on Titan, for example. And now I've played the game and I understand what's going on because I've seen the anime, or I'm caught up to it anyway. Probably an easy answer is JoJo as well. I was into JoJo when it was new in the West, so I was reading scanlations of the manga online. But now, fortunately, the manga is being localized. At the time of this recording, we're well into part 4, which is pretty nice. There's also Dante's Inferno. I've played the game, not on my channel, but I've played it, and I've read The Divine Comedy. I know there's gotta be other stuff. Danganronpa and Corpse Party have manga. I have not read those, although I did see the Corpse Party animated movie, which was okay, but its ending is kind of worth it for a different take. I know there's gotta be more than that, but that's all I can think of right off the top of my head, at the very least. Various anime games, One Piece, I guess. I watched the anime and I've been playing the Pirate Warriors games and World Seeker and stuff like that. So, I don't know, bunch of anime stuff, I suppose. Kevin Hudson, have you ever played Deadly Premonition? No, but it is one of my Patreon requests, so I will get to it. Super Pritchy, favorite MMOs, and how much time have you invested? Well, I've never played any of them online. The only MMO I can think of that I've actually played is Phantasy Star Online, but I played it offline on the GameCube. I don't remember how much time I put into it, but it was enough to get to the end of episode 2, so it was a while at the time. Connor, who are your favorite authors, and what are some of your favorite book series? Well, I mean, I have liked George R.R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire series, but I mean, who knows if that's going to end. I've only dabbled with him, but Brandon Sanderson, that guy pumps out like a book a minute. It's freaking ridiculous. I've only ever read his Mistborn trilogy, but it was fantastic. Stephen King's been writing books forever, and I like some better than others. I think I usually like his short stories more than his long stories. His long stories tends to have cooler concepts, but the short stories are just in and out, and they can actually be quite creepy. Even something like it didn't creep me out. There were moments in the book where I was like, ooh, That's kind of creepy. But I only actually really got spooked by the short story The Moving Finger. If I remember correctly, I think it was from Nightmares and Dreamscapes. That was creepy. That really got under my skin. It's about a moving finger. It's freaky, man. Favorite books though, or book series. Oh, and yes, also shout out to Roger Zelazny, who wrote a bunch of cool fantasy stuff, like I think it was called Eye of Cat, Mad Wand, Lord of Light, and the Chronicles of Amber. Those are also very good. Oh, and of Stephen King, one of my favorites of his is probably The Eyes of the Dragon. It doesn't even try to be horror. It's like a fantasy novel, but it's very, very good. Very engaging. And have you got any particular favorites when it comes to the Let's Plays you've done? At this point, I've done a lot. There's been a lot. I like the Soulsborne series just because I like those games in general. I did get some flack from cheesing like every single boss in Demon's Souls, so in the year 3014, when I finally get a PS5, maybe I'll do some redemption boss videos or something. Snatcher with Vice the Bold was great. 999 and Undertale with Old Man Stompy and Minty Mitts were great. Danganronpa with Pyro Jack Frost was great. Until Dawn, what was that goofy one? Overblood with Mr. Ryu were great. There's a lot of really good stuff out there that I highly recommend looking into. American McGee's Alice, that's one of my first Let's Plays ever. It's my second one. Eternal Darkness was a really good time. The Silent Hill stuff. I got some bad audio in the Silent Hill stuff, but still. The Suikoden streams, I did 1 and 2. The 428 Shibuya Scramble stream. There's a ton of really cool stuff out there. Rhett Buckley. What do you think about Silent Hill characters, Pyramid Head, locations, and music being used in games like Daylight? What, like Dead by Daylight? I don't care. Like, it's an amusing way to get people interested. I'm not gonna buy Dead by Daylight because Silent Hill is stamped on it, but it's a clever idea. Would they lose the impact from their original games being out of context? Oh yeah, of course. Easily, definitely. But that's not the point. At this point, they're fan favorites, so people are looking into them for that reason. Pyramid Head's not really supposed to be scary anymore. He was scary in Silent Hill 2 in, like, the 2000s. But now when you see him, you're like, oh, it's that character I know. Think of, like, any horror franchise, like a horror series. Nightmare on Elm Street? The first movie is a horror movie, and every movie after that is a slasher movie. What creative ways does he use to kill the main characters? It's only the first one that's scary because you don't know what's going on yet. Like Pyramid Head, he's in freaking Bomberman on the Switch. Why not? It's a Konami game. Do whatever you want. I think he might be in all versions, actually. Just freaking Pyramid Head. If you know what he represents, it's like horrific, but at this point, he's a character you like, whatever. Also, I heard there's a game like Fucker in the Woods, spelled with a PH, called Metal as Fuck, spelled with a PH. It's an RPG comedy with different classes. I think it has goofy enemies, similar to Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. Do you think you might do a co-op LP? I don't even... Like, I looked into the game briefly. The title is a coincidence. It's not a game made by Lazarul. I don't know. I have no plans to play it at this time, but there is no way that I'm answering whether I'm doing a co-op LP, because that involves me making a promise for someone that I haven't asked. So, off the top of my head, I'm going to say no. I'm not going to guarantee anything like that. But, who knows? Maybe I'll look into the game at some point, but it's not a priority right now. And as for, by the way, regarding goofy enemies similar to Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, I was quite surprised by how many of those enemies weren't even original. A lot of them were from, I think it was called Michael Jordan's Chaos in the Windy City. Like the stupid coach whistle that attacks you, that wasn't Tales of Games, that was from an actual Super Nintendo game. I couldn't believe it. The first boss, the monster made of b-balls, that's real. That's from Chaos in the Windy City. That game is bananas. Do you think you might stream the demo to Barkley too? This is something that's going to piss me off, because I'm reasonably sure I recorded that like with my camera way back when, but I don't remember if I put it on my channel. It might have been on Blip or something, and if it was, I don't know if I have it anymore. That's a tough one. I'll have to look into that. What are your thoughts on the Metro and Stalker series? I have them. I haven't played them. No comment. Although I will give one shout out to Metro. The idea that bullets are your currency. Normally when you spend money in a video game, or in real life, the question is whether you want to do that, because then you will have less money to spend on other things. But in Metro, it's bullets, so you have less capability of fighting monsters if you spend money on stuff. That's pretty clever. Daniel Martinez, can you make another content differences video? Theoretically, yes, but those things are such an ordeal to make, so I have no plans for them at this time. Salbert, will you and Vice the Bulls do a video on Fucker and the Ashes, the remastered collection of the Fucker trilogy, that's a real phrase, with extra content? Maybe. I don't think there's going to be a point in going through the story again, but if there's like just the extra stuff, maybe I'll do a one-shot of that. I'd probably just do it by myself though, maybe. Wolf Moon, do you have any plans on re-recording some of your old Let's Plays, like the Silent Hill games? No. I mean, I know, like I said a little while ago, some of those things have bad audio. I am not just doing over entire LPs. That's exhausting. I already have way too much to do. There's little need for me to redo, like, a ton of my catalog. Would you ever consider Let's Playing GoldenEye on the N64? That's something I never really considered. That's a maybe, but if I did, I would almost certainly use cheats or play on easy difficulty, like Agent. Or would you be interested in playing the cancelled GoldenEye remaster on the 360 that was recently leaked? I wouldn't do the whole game. I don't even think it is the whole game. But if I ever did, maybe like a level or something. Whoa, can you believe this exists? But I wouldn't do an exhaustive playthrough of it. What's your most viewed video on YouTube? Probably my Resident Evil 2 content differences video. I think there was some bigger website that had a bunch of videos embedded on showcases of games or discussions or something, and mine was one of them. I didn't even realize that was a thing for a while. And also, Digital Foundry eventually did a similar video, so my thing probably came up in the recommended tab on the side, so that probably helped quite a bit. Mr. Volcom Classic. Okay, this is a similar question. I loved your Resident Evil differences videos, thank you. Will you make any for Resident Evil 3 and 4, etc.? Again, maybe at some point, but man, what an undertaking. So no plans at this time. I don't even have all the versions of 3 and 4. Although I'm kind of getting close, but even if I do get them all, that doesn't mean anything in terms of when I'm doing a video. J Dragoon, could you check out a game called 2064 Random Only Memories? No plans for this at this time either, but I do have it, and I heard it had a Snatcher aesthetic, so that gets my attention. So maybe at some point, but no promises. That's like every game anybody asks me. Maybe at some point, but no promises. Because I'm never going to say yes, definitely, now. Like that will not happen. Unless you are incredibly lucky and happen to catch me on a video that is guaranteed, like Deadly Premonition. I don't know when I'm doing it, but it's on my list. Or the last time I did a Q&A, Dino Crisis 2. Whoa, you caught me after I've already recorded it. So yes, that one's coming. But most games people ask me about, if I have them, that doesn't mean I'm going to play them now. You know, so who knows? Mark Rice, do you collect figurines? I did. Not so much anymore, though, because they keep taking up space, and there's more and more of them. But I do have some JoJo stuff. What do you think of the Resident Evil 3 remake? Haven't tried it. And Resident Evil 8? Haven't looked into it. Will you play them? Yes, but who knows when. Do you not like the direction Capcom has gone with the franchise? No comments. Last Resident Evil game I played was 5. Well, not the last one I played, but the latest game in the series that I've played was 5. So I don't even know what 6 is. 7, I heard people liked it quite a bit, so cool. Ramon Hernandez, you've probably already been asked and answered this question, but what got you to start streaming and post videos? Streaming, I don't know. I don't know if I thought I should just do it one day, or if someone suggested it, or what. I don't remember. But posting videos, I used to be a member of channelawesome.com before it was known as thatguywiththeglasses.com. I wasn't officially accepted into the site yet, but I was watching people on it. And one person, Paw, whose real name is Paul Schuler, he had uploaded a Let's Play of King's Quest V. Normally I was not interested in Let's Plays because I figured either I've already played the game so I don't care, or I have not played the games and I don't want spoilers. But I was the only one in my friends group who'd ever touched King's Quest V, or like knew about King's Quest, so I was like, oh my god, someone else knows about this? I didn't realize how big Sierra was back in the day. So he posted King's Quest V, and I looked into it to see what his take was, and that was my first step of realizing that Let's Plays aren't necessarily just about the gameplay. It's also about the player, how they play, their commentary, any editing gimmicks they may have. So at that point, I wanted to do King's Quest VI. It took me a while to get to that one. I did other stuff first, but I eventually did. And we kept going from there. Save the Duck. Any plans to do Tecmo's Deception? Should be right up your alley. I don't know. I do own it, but the thing with that game is the whole gimmick is setting up traps and getting bonus points for chain reactions to defeat enemies that trespass into your mansion. Invade or infiltrate is the word I was looking for. But would anybody want to watch a whole playthrough of that? I've only played the game for like 30 minutes or something, so I might be wrong about this, but isn't that just the whole game? You're just doing puzzle traps? Would that be something people would be interested in seeing? I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that gets progressively harder, so it keeps things engaging for the player, but for a viewer, though, would it? I don't know. I don't know how many people would be interested in that. I guess let me know, right? Although one thing I will shout out about Tecmo's Deception, which cracks me up, it's on the case itself. There we are. This is just kind of silly to me, but the back of the case says, "Warning, this game contains satanic references and may be inappropriate for some individuals." Which is kind of funny, because I was going to say, whatever, it's rated M for mature. You don't need to tell me it may be inappropriate. But no, it's T for teen. It just also has satanic references. It's the only game I could think of that warns you about satanic references. Dante's Inferno didn't do that. I mean, different era, I know, but it's just funny to me. Blue Bandit. How did you have the strength/fortitude to continue uploading videos despite a low audience compared to other YouTubers from that time period? Well, see, this is kind of the thing. When I first started uploading to That Guy with the Glasses, it wasn't really YouTubers. This was in an era where Blip was more interesting for people from that site, because with Blip, its site wasn't really great. Like, if you go to youtube.com, then you could just see a whole bunch of videos for suggestions and what you might like, I don't know, but if you ever went to blip.tv, you didn't really get that. You would have to already know what you're looking for. So the best way to view Blip videos was when they were embedded somewhere. So on That Guy with the Glasses, well, it was really popular because it was a hub site where you could see this person's video, and also you might like this person's video. It's right here, so it built up this sense of camaraderie. Now, I wasn't a full-on member of the site yet, but even so, there was a blog section you could embed your stuff into. So I was doing that and getting comments and things of that sort in this little group. There was a sense of intimacy and camaraderie. And even now with YouTube, I'm not making millions of dollars on my channel, are you kidding me? But there are still regular commenters and things like that, so there's sort of this like social, real connection. I'm not just going to my page's analytics, I see that this particular age demographic has gone up this month. It doesn't feel like that to me. It doesn't feel artificial. So that's part of the reason, is I just like doing it. It's fun playing video games, but the social connection's also quite cool. Shade Yoshi, what made you want to make videos in the first place? Okay, I should have probably grouped these questions together better, but that one I covered, with That Guy with the Glasses and King's Quest and all that good stuff. Outworld Outlander, What makes a game a masterpiece? That's subjective, but being an outstanding example of the genre, or being new and original in some way, or being groundbreaking and setting some new standard. Take, for example, Half-Life 2. If you showed a kid Half-Life 2 today, I doubt they'd say it's a masterpiece. They'd say it's pretty cool, I've seen better, because the genre has had time to evolve. But at the time, it was so original, so creative, that it's still very highly regarded, even today. Same goes for Ocarina of Time. Show a kid Ocarina of Time today, and they'll talk about how slow-paced it is. And the graphics are, okay, I guess, but for the first 3D Zelda and how sprawling the world was at the time, it made the #1 of top 10 and top 100 lists for years and years, even though a younger generation would probably disagree at this point. Certain things like that can really go a long way. Can't think of a good name. What do you think on this new console generation? I don't know, I'll let you know in 15 years when somebody's able to buy a new console this generation. And is it worth to wait and get it? I'm guessing yes. I mean, at this point, there is literally one game for the PS5 that I care about that's out, and it is a shot-for-shot remake of a game from, like, what, 2011 or something? Or 2009? 2009, I think. Demon's Souls. But there will be more games. I mean, give the generation a bit of momentum, and there'll be more stuff than you know what to do with. Daniel Carasone, are you going to be Let's Playing any more Resident Evil titles? Yes. Or if you have tried any of the remakes all the way through, only the GameCube one, which I've now Let's Played the PS4 remaster of Resident Evil 1's remake. I've done that, but I've not touched Resident Evil 3, and I've only done the one time only, for some reason, half-hour demo of Resident Evil 2, so no real comments on those. I want my Let's Plays of those to be the first proper playthroughs I do. Josh T27FFX, what is your favorite movie and why? I don't tend to do that, like my #1 of anything. The best I could do is maybe #1 of a genre, like 1982 The Thing by John Carpenter. That's probably my favorite horror movie. Hot Fuzz might be my favorite comedy, stuff like that, but what is just the #1 movie ever? I can't do that. Sock Puppet, how embarrassing. Sockbot. Maybe if I got the username right, that would help. Got a favorite side character in Resident Evil? Mine's Barry. Yeah, Barry or Billy. Those are really good characters. I mean, Billy just disappeared into the void after his one game, but he was still cool. Jessica Bunny, thoughts of Resident Evil 8? Okay, that one I've covered. No comment. Will that be a future Let's Play? Way future, but yes. Any future crossovers with other YouTubers like Linkara, for example? Yeah, we did that Killer 7 thing. I wish, but no plans for that at this time. Are you still going to do a Let's Play of Charles Barkley's Shut Up and Jam Gaiden 2? If it comes out, but I'm thinking that's not happening, which is very unfortunate. That was my very first Kickstarter, and I think it's dead. That is unfortunate. If it did come out, then yeah, I'd be all over it. Fenrir Wolflord, have you kept up with JoJo? Yes, I am caught up with the manga. And do you think more of the series will be animated? Yes. I think Part 6 might have even been confirmed. Have you watched the anime? Yup, caught up. Part 1 through 5. Any thoughts on doing the next Corpse Party or waiting for it to be finished first, if it ever finishes? Yeah, you kind of answered my question right there for you. Normally I would wait for it to finish, but on the other hand, is it ever going to, though? Plus, it actually happens to be a Patreon request. So Corpse Party Dead Patient Episode 1, that is confirmed, it's going to happen. But yeah, I hope we get more of it. Emma Jane, Lady and the Jaguar. What was your best time in Resident Evil 2, the original? I don't know. I played that game a bunch to compile footage for my comparison video, but I didn't really take note of the times. Probably under 2 hours, but I couldn't be more specific than that. And I was using infinite ammo cheats because, give me a break, you're not watching any of this stuff anyway. Justin Meyer, what was the thing that got you into the horror genre? There's maybe a couple of possibilities, both of them Resident Evil. My across the street neighbor back when I was in middle school had Resident Evil 2, and I didn't really know what it was. And he showed me a little bit of it, and I thought, oh, this looks pretty cool. And also in high school, a friend of mine had gotten the remake of Resident Evil 1 for the GameCube, and he was telling me about it over the phone. And I was like, this sounds great. So I eventually got it myself, and that was my first ever horror title that I owned. I think my mom actually had to buy it for me because I was 16. I was 1 year too young, I believe, and I paid her back. Any movies that freaked you out as a kid, adult, etc. I can think of a couple, I think. The 90s TV movie version of It, which is comical now. But as a kid, it was pretty freaky. Mainly the shower scene got me. Even before the clown came out, just the idea that the shower's necks were extending and blocking this kid from leaving this public shower room, that was super freaky, because this little kid was like all alone in this big empty room with, I guess the room itself was against him. That's creepy. Also, a very specific moment from the Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino movie, The Devil's Advocate. That movie becomes supernatural, but it's a long time before it does. Like, it's a while. Otherwise, it's mostly a lawyer movie with weird quirks. But there's a part where Keanu Reeves' wife, I forgot the names of like any character in that movie, except for Al Pacino's, because it's John Milton, who was a real person. But Keanu Reeves' wife was at, I don't remember if it was like a fashion outlet or like someone's house where she was trying a dress on anyway, or what. But she was trying on a dress and looking in the mirror, and the person who was with her was like, oh my goodness, that looks so good on you. And then like her mouth does this creepy distortion thing where it gets all ugly and like demon-like, and that scared the daylights out of me as a kid because it came out of nowhere. Like, nothing telegraphed that, and it's super creepy looking. Even today when I watch it, it doesn't really bother me so much anymore, but I was just like, yeah, there's a reason I was creeped out by this as a kid. What's your earliest video game memory? That's tough. Possibly Jump Jet on DOS. What hooked you about games? Maybe stuff like that. My dad had a couple of little shareware titles on DOS, and eventually my aunt and uncle got my family a Genesis for some holiday at some point, so that got me more into it because now we actually owned a system. Who would you rather have dinner and a movie night with? Charlie Manson or Jim Jones? No. And who's the greatest film director of the past 25 years, and why is it David Fincher? I don't remember what David Fincher's directed. I know he's a brilliant director, but whatever, I don't tend to follow that stuff. I know Edgar Wright kicks ass with his Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. I haven't seen At World's End, but he did that too. Scott Pilgrim was brilliant. Luca95. Have you ever considered trying streaming on platforms like Twitch? The thought has crossed my mind. I need a better streaming setup, is my problem. Because, like, a lot of my issue is interacting with the viewers, and I know that's a big point of streaming, and I'm bad with it, because if you pretend that you're the viewers, right, you're my computer where I could see the chat, well, the problem is, my TV is over this way, so I'm playing the game, and sometimes, oh yes, hello. So that's why I'm pretty bad at interacting with the chat, and when I do interact with it, all of a sudden my gameplay stops because my alignments for what I'm doing are terrible. Wolfpack leaders. Would you consider doing Yakuza playthroughs? Already covered this one. No. Or Tenchu? Maybe. Although I don't actually own any of the Tenchu games, but those do seem kind of interesting. And I think FromSoft published some of them starting in the PS2 era. The Shell Fables. Any chance of a game room tour or a collection video from you at some point? I would like to. My room is not the most organized. Maybe if I did little spotlights of things here or there, that might be something though. I see you have some really cool stuff like the Silent Hill PC ports. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Those were actually my first Silent Hill games because I didn't own a PlayStation anything back in the day. So I got Silent Hill 2 and 3 for $5 a piece on PC. And 4, I got it at GameStop for $20. This was when it was a bit newer. And yeah, and even Kuon back there. Yeah, good memory. Not anymore, but I do actually own Kuon. It'd be cool to show it off. Yeah, maybe at some point. Again, I can't really do a room tour because, like, I need to straighten up a bit, but if I were to, then yeah, that would be interesting, I think. Jason the Curator. Given your literary knowledge, or at least what you have shared with us over the years, have you even considered writing your own book? The thought has crossed my mind, but I don't know what it would be about. I doubt it would be a novel or anything. I'm thinking if I ever were to do something, maybe it would be kind of like what Kurt Kalata does with his Hardcore Gaming 101 stuff, where I analyze games and versions of them or something like that. Blue Styles HD. Have you ever heard of / played Obscure? You see, this is one of those lucky questions. I've actually recently started recording it. So, I've had it for a while, finally started playing it. No comment on it so much. I've played it for like 45 minutes. I like where it's going, but I'll see what happens when I finish it. But so far, I've liked what I've seen, although I'm still in the very early stages. Any plans on Let's Playing the other Resident Evil games? Okay, yeah, that one I've covered. Yes, eventually. And then... Okay, yeah, finally. Last set of questions here. From Gus S. Do you consider your Let's Plays a passion, or just an enjoyable hobby? Those are kind of similar. I mean, it certainly is an enjoyable hobby, but I'm passionate about doing them. I like them quite a bit. I've been doing them for 11 years, so I guess that covers both, I think. If the former, have you ever thought of going pro? I would like to, that'd be nice, but it's not very easy. Would you play any of these games which I can't currently play? Shadow the Hedgehog? Maybe. The gameplay doesn't look very fun, although the million story paths are pretty compelling, and some of them are, like, hilariously edgy. I think in one of the endings he just straight up shoots Eggman with a gun. Like, is this real life? Persona 1 or 2 duology? Probably not. I own Persona 4 and 5, and I believe I own P3P digitally, but man, what an intimidating series to get into. I don't know how insanely long these would be, even if the aesthetic is kind of my jam. 2 short games I can recommend for you and the viewers after playing them myself are Rise of the Dragon. Yeah, I actually do have that one. For the it says Sega Mega CD. You know, yeah, pick one. In America, it's just called Sega CD. But yeah, I actually do have that, and that's available on PC as well. And Misao Definitive Edition on Steam /PC. That one I haven't heard of, so maybe I'll look into that at some point. But yeah, thank you for the recommendations. And as I hinted at earlier, that was the last set of questions, so there we go, the Q&A is concluded. So thank you very much for the questions, and of course thank you all very much for your support over these 11 years. I have very much enjoyed doing this, and I would very much like to continue. So thank you once again, and until next time, everyone.